I'd like to start with what led us to start Spotlight, and at the core of it is the broken productivity model that we've seen happen again and again and again. And what's pretty amazing to see is that in the last decade, the amount of tech that entered this category to try and help enterprise teams become more productive is huge. Even in the last 2 years with AI, what we're seeing is not more than 1% shift in actual average productivity across the market. And let's just go through some of these unbelievable metrics. And so reps today spend less than 30% of their time on what they actually love doing and do best, which is sell in front of a customer. The rest of the time, they do things that they either hate or they're really not good at, they'll never be good at, they're not built for it, and just waste their time. It could be documentation, it could be updating systems, it could be updating the organization, it could be generating sales assets for themselves, it could be analyzing the deals and figuring out what's stopping their deals. Things that, as we know, they need a lot of help, either from their managers or from experts, and that's taken more of the time they have than actually selling. The unbelievable thing is that in the last decade, the performance of quota attainment did not change from 43% up to about 1% up or down. So with all this tech, we haven't really improved quota attainment in the market. And then the result of all this is when people don't win, they leave, right? And 30% of enterprise sales teams turnover every year. That harms even more and kills the productivity model even further, because now we need to hire and train and so on. And so this is a huge problem that we were out to solve. And when we looked at what failed in trying to solve it in the past, we saw that the main reason was because we were trying to give more and more tools to people who are not good at using tools for the tasks they're not good at doing. Instead of that, we need to focus them on what they do really, really good and take them out of the activities that are completely not their strong side. And so the way we look at this is when we built our vision to the autonomous enterprise sales teams, we want to let people excel at being human. And we want to let AI take over where it will always be superior to 90% of the humans, of these sellers. And what that means is that humans or people are really good at things that AI is not even close to being able to tackle. Like, for example, building trust, building relationships, empathizing with pains, navigating politics, right? Understanding how to understand the human motion of their customers. Those are things that humans are really good at, salespeople are really good at, and we need to let them do that more and be in front of those customers. Understanding and empathizing with their pains, creating trust and becoming a trusted advisor, like all of those things are where they need to spend their time. Where they shouldn't spend their time is trying to pick up on all these signals that are being thrown at them from the interactions with the buyer. Signals that have to do with risk added to their opportunity, with action items they need to go in and follow up on, assets they need to go build for themselves for the next meeting. Like that's the pieces they break down, that's the pieces they're not good at. And then they come to the next meeting, they break down. And so that's our vision. But at the bottom here, we put to ourselves a guiding principle, which is we cannot create a new workflow or a new capability that takes them away from what they do today. We need to integrate what we do seamlessly into their human workflow, into their existing workflow. So we just shrink what they do. We don't change what they do. Okay, we don't add or change. And that's a really, really critical design principle that we put in front of ourselves. The way we tackle this is with a family of agents that keeps growing, but is based on a very unique data model. And the unique data model, which is at the center here, is what Spotlight.ai built for the first 2 years of its existence. We've taken the knowledge of over 100 CROs and sales executives, and we've built an enterprise sales experience layer that understands objection handling, understands patterns in enterprise sales, understands qualification patterns for personas like champions and EBs and so on. And we've built this layer of knowledge into the model. On top of that layer, we've built a layer of industry-specific knowledge that is obviously cut to different industries. And so we have specific knowledge of cybersecurity, databases, business analytics, and so on. And the reason we built those industry knowledge layers is because some things are very unique to these industries. For example, benchmarks, salaries of people in that industry, and so on. And that allows us to really deeply understand how we can make impact on our customers, on the end customer within those industries. And on top of these two layers, we have a layer for the company playbook where each of our customers is configuring their specific use cases, their specific competitors and playbooks into the model. But that sits on top of these two other layers that are very powerful. And what this allows us to do is to build agents that are not just chat agents. They're agents that have access to what we call structured data that can be accurate, that can be verifiable. And then they can take away activities that the reps are doing today and they shouldn't. So let's say just 2-3 words on each one here. And this is a live list that keeps growing. The first agent here is the qualification agent. That's an agent that understands qualification frameworks like MEDDIC, MEDPIC, BANT, Sandler, Spiced, and others. It understands how to deconstruct each of those qualifiers into atomic signals that they need to pick up on. Each of those letters, for example, a champion or a C or I for identify pain, that could break down to 100 or 150 signals that we pick up in the interactions between the buyer and the seller, and then make decisions to come up with the action item of where that qualifier stands and what do we need to do next to advance it. The interactions come from Zoom meetings, team meetings, emails, Slack messages, team messages, and so on. And so we monitor all these interactions and we put them into our unique model that's at the center, and then the agent can take actions on them. The research agent is an agent that allows to go out and do a research on the account and build a hypothesis for a first or second meeting. Just imagine how much work there is to analyze recent events, analyze news for an account, read the 10K, understand which hypothesis would be relevant for the industry that account is in, and then put it in a format that is digestible on a slide for the first meeting. The third agent here is our inspection agent. This is an agent that specializes in inspecting deals. It understands forecasts. It understands risks that could be added to deals. It works hand in hand with the analytics agent that we'll talk about on the right side to understand the winnings and losing patterns of that specific company and that specific industry. I'll give you an example. In a health industry, the paperwork at the end of the deal could have significant risk in a deal that should be taken into account. Where in cybersecurity or in standard SaaS, the paperwork aspect at the end has a lot less risk that could be added to the deal. And so understanding these unique risk factors and models for industries, and then putting that together with the patterns of a specific vendor, a specific company that's selling, and inspecting the deals based on that, gives us a very accurate inspection and a very accurate forecast that's based on evidence. The other piece here is the discovery agent. Discovery agent is an agent that listens and looks for the critical pieces in discovery. Understanding from all the interactions, understanding use cases, understanding pains, understanding critical qualification things we need to discover like budget, timeline, and so on. It can even understand specific things for your company, within a specific playbook. Sometimes if we ask a certain question, we need to go discover 3 other items based on that question. So that tree, decision tree of discovery, is a tree of discovery that the agent understands and can guide the rep on which questions they need to go ask next based on what they've heard from the customer. And so we call this adaptive discovery, and that's what the discovery agent is doing. The debrief agent is an agent the rep could debrief, and the agent will go in and update all the systems, or the rep could ask the debrief agent coaching questions, and the debrief agent will debrief the rep itself. For example, the rep might have a blocker, not being able to meet the economic buyer, and it can ask the debrief agent to create a strategy for them to go meet the economic buyer. The debrief agent will then go and talk to the discovery agent and to a qualification agent, look at the model and the data in the model and put together a strategy for the rep. These are 3 things you can do to go and get a meeting with the economic buyer and actually be very specific to that opportunity. The analytics agent is all about patterns over time, analyzing every deal, analyzing the patterns, the winning patterns, the losing patterns, based on things that are driving those, such as combinations of use cases and competitors, pains, velocity of deals. It has out-of-the-box dashboards that RevOps teams love to use in order to find out where we need to improve. Maybe we need to just improve the playbook, but maybe there is a gap in the product that we need to feedback. The value consultant agent is a really amazing one, which is every single sales rep has a virtual value consultant with them on every deal. And by asking the right discovery questions that are being guided by the discovery agent, some of these questions might be metrics that the rep will go get. And then based on that, at the end of their call, the value consultant agent will generate a full business case or a BVA for them, which is ready for a presentation in the next meeting. And so imagine a world where every deal above 50K, let's say, which is a meaningful deal, gets an autonomous business case for each rep. And the last piece here is the sales content agent. Just like we generate business case BVAs, we can generate those on decks or Excels or spreadsheets. We can generate any other type of assets. We can generate the slides reps need for their QBRs, or maybe a POC readiness document, a case study that's relevant based on what we've just discovered. And so the rep is moving from an executor to an orchestrator. Think about it as a rep that has all of these agents working for them. They go and execute what they do best, which is talk to a customer, interact, build trust, and follow the guidance that they're getting from their agents. Their agents are working in the background constantly to go and execute on these tasks. Some of these metrics that we've executed so far, so I'll just touch on a few of them. We've executed over 600,000 of these type of activities autonomously for our customers. We've qualified over 200,000 contacts, such as champions, economic buyers, detractors, supporters, coaches. We've generated over 4,000 sales assets. And all of those are driven by the data model that I was talking about, which is where we match the signals. We have over 27 million signals that the agents have matched and operated on in our model, and that keeps growing. And so I hope you understand how we're here to completely shift how an enterprise sales is going to get built. We want humans to do what they do best. We want to move them from being an executor of tasks they're not good at to being executors of things that they excel in, which is be in front of customers and then become orchestrators of a set of experts that is working with them and taking that work away from them. All of that will get us a sales team that is much more productive and evidence-based driven rather than opinion-based driven, which will end up giving us a much better insights, much better forecast, and stronger wins. Thank you so much for listening.